Hi everyone. Today is November the 2nd and it is about 3 o'clock. The weather the weather in Seattle right now has turned into a very typical Seattle fall day. That's okay. I really like the fall season. I like the fall season when it's sunny, and I also like the fall season when it is like today. Very windy, very rainy, but that's okay. In today's video, I want to talk about life choices. Okay, so the phrase life choices is a very unique phrase. Now, you know these words, right? You know the word life and you know the word choices. When we put these words together, life choices, what we usually mean is choices that affect the rest of our life. So for example, 3 big life choices are marriage, right? Who we marry, children, if we have children, and where we live, where we buy a house. Those are 3 very common, very big life choices. I want to talk about the 3rd life choice in that list, where we live, buying a house. I want to talk about why my wife and I chose to live in this house, but more importantly, why we chose to live in this area of Seattle. So I want to teach you another word. The word is practical, all right? Practical. So when we use the word practical, we usually mean, practical is, I think it's an adjective, so practical choices. A very practical decision. So when we say practical, we mean something that makes our life more convenient. It makes our life easier. Maybe it reduces cost. Maybe it makes things faster or better. There's many meanings for practical. It depends on the situation and it depends on the person. We bought this house in this area for practical reasons and also for emotional reasons. Let me talk about the practical reasons first. So the first practical reason we purchased this house is because it is close to the light rail. Now the light rail is Seattle's only local train service. The light rail travels from SeaTac Airport to the University of Washington. We live 2 blocks away from the light rail station, one of the light rail stations. Very practical, very convenient. So for me, I don't like driving to downtown. Driving into downtown Seattle can be very difficult. There's lots of traffic, parking is difficult to find, and parking is also very expensive. So, if I can take the light rail from my house into downtown, that's very convenient and, of course, very practical. Another reason we purchased this house in this area is because it is close to many things that we need, many stores that we could use. It's close to a supermarket. It's close to a pharmacy for medicine. It's close to many restaurants. It's close to a cafe, which I need all the time. It's close to a park. It's close to a police station. It's close to a bank, another thing. It's close to many things that we could possibly use. So we don't have to drive. We can walk to all of these places. So it's very, very convenient. Now I want to talk more importantly about the emotional reasons why we purchased the house in this area. First, I will tell you that if you haven't read my profile yet, in addition to Japanese, I also can speak Vietnamese. In fact, I think my Vietnamese might be better than my Japanese. Even though I studied Japanese for almost 20 years, I studied Vietnamese for 3 years. However, one of those years was in Vietnam. So I could use the language every day, every hour if I wanted to. I never had that opportunity to learn and to use Japanese like that. So I lived in Vietnam for a total of 1 year. And during that time, I learned the language very fast, and now I can speak Vietnamese very comfortably. My wife is Vietnamese American. My wife and her family immigrated to America when my wife was 9 years old. So my wife can speak English and Vietnamese fluently. She is fluent in both languages. Our son is half Vietnamese, and my wife and I decided, even before Vincent was born, that we would raise our child to speak Vietnamese first, not English. Our child would understand and communicate in the Vietnamese language first. Vincent is going to learn English eventually. It's easy to learn English in America when you grow up in America. We want Vincent to grow up speaking and understanding the Vietnamese language. So, in the house, okay, you can hear, so Vincent is right there, so you can hear him. In the house, my wife and I speak Vietnamese to Vincent all the time. So when I talk to Vincent, I only talk to Vincent in Vietnamese. Same thing with my wife. Right now, my wife and I only speak English to each other, However, I think soon we have to change and speak Vietnamese to each other. Anyway, my wife and I speak only Vietnamese to Vincent. Now, how does that relate to our house? Well, in this area, in our neighborhood, there is a really large Vietnamese community. So in this area, there are many Vietnamese restaurants, a Vietnamese supermarket, a Vietnamese dentist, Vietnamese pharmacy, Vietnamese hair salon. In fact, my pharmacist, my hair salon hair cutter, my tax accountant, my eye doctor, my dentist, all of them are Vietnamese. It's good for Vincent because we want Vincent to understand Vietnamese and communicate in Vietnamese inside the house and outside the house. I want Vincent to hear his mother and father, me and my wife, speak Vietnamese to other people so that he feels comfortable speaking Vietnamese to other people. We want to raise our child, we want to raise Vincent in a Vietnamese community. We want Vincent to understand the culture, the Vietnamese culture. We want him to respect the Vietnamese culture and to appreciate the Vietnamese culture. In our neighborhood, there are also many other ethnic groups. There are many Mexican Americans, and many Latino Americans. There are many small communities of East Africa, so Somalia, Eritrea, and Ethiopia. There are many people in this area. There are many Chinese in this area. There are also many Southeast Asian people, so Cambodian, Laos, again, Vietnamese, Filipino, many Filipinos. So we made the practical and emotional life choice to purchase this house in this area, in this neighborhood, because we want to invest time and effort to raise Vincent, our son, and maybe our future children in the Vietnamese language and culture. Now, unfortunately, I cannot do the same for Japanese. I want Vincent to speak English, Vietnamese, and if possible, Japanese as well. I can speak Japanese to Vincent. However, it's easier if we focus on Vietnamese first. When Vincent is a little older, I can send him to Japanese preschool. So there are Japanese preschools in Seattle. And I would really like Vincent to speak Japanese. That would be wonderful. I would be really happy. Unfortunately, there aren't any Japanese communities as big as the Vietnamese community and Chinese community. So it would be more difficult to raise Vincent speaking Japanese. he would not have as much opportunity to practice the language outside the house. So right now, our main focus is Vietnamese first and then English second. So in this in this almost 16-minute video, I shared with you life choices, why we decided to buy this house, and the practical and emotional reasons why we chose this neighborhood. I hope you learned some new vocabulary, and I also hope that you learned a little bit about American life. This is American life. This is American lifestyle. It's not Vietnamese lifestyle. I think that this is a good example of American lifestyle, because in America, we have the freedom and the opportunity to make these choices. So I feel very lucky. Thank you, as always, for watching the video. If you have any ideas on things I should talk about, please, of course, let me know. And as always, please subscribe to my YouTube, to this YouTube channel, and also find LPLE on Facebook, and also from my website, and also on iTunes if you listen to podcasts on iTunes. I upload all my LPLE videos and podcasts to YouTube, so yeah, if it's easier for you to listen on YouTube, then please, of course, subscribe. I think Vincent is calling me, so I better get to him. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.